welcome to the family meeting of April. We've got some actually probably, it's probably our family meeting with some of the biggest news in terms of where we're going as a business. So I hope you got sitting comfortably, got a coffee, and going to be listening in. As you guys will know, our rhythm on the meetings is to firstly welcome our new family members. And we have 36 new family members since our last meeting. So to welcome to Leander, Ezra, Mtsobisi, Travis, Amatle, Asenati, Castro, Cheryl, Maureen, Tongai, Vincent, Patient, Brittany, Rose, Reba, Chris, Lucky, Ntokozo, Toby, Prayer, Tembani, Twalani, Given, Moffat, Brian, Daniel, Andrew, Busi, Timothy, Henrik, Andrew, Mbongeni, no more. Mbongisen, sorry, just like to announce that correctly. Sanele, and the most difficult at the end, Gamochira. I hope I got that right. So welcome to those 36 members. As I always say on every welcome, I hope that you as individuals grow, learn, develop, and extract what you need to as an individual from your working space. We spend so much of our time at work. We need to make sure, I guess, first and foremost, doesn't always happen that we love what we do. I mean, there is a real world that we live in. Sometimes we've got to hustle and make it work, but ultimately you want to land up in a position where you're really passionate, you love what you do, because in loving what you do truly delivers on your talents. And we hope that the 36 new members of the family get to grow, develop, and hone their talents and find their happiness with us. So welcome, guys. Just to, again, as part of the rhythm, as a reminder to our purpose and our values, just really important, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I like to do it because I like to emphasize the importance of this. I too often need to remind myself in terms of the practical application of values. It's actually incredible. Sometimes when we sit in a situation, either if I'm on my own or as there's a few of us together, we're trying to solve a problem. We can't either reach agreement or not certain of which direction to go with. We refer to our values, and our values often guide us in making the right decision. So if you find yourself in a situation you're on your own and you are not sure what the right decision is, reference to the values, strengthen our diversity, be aware, respond generously, and constantly make it better. I think the two that I find that I use most in helping my decisions is responding generously and make it better. So if give you an example, if there's a situation with one of the team members and I'm actually can't think of a specific one, but it's really around the awareness value is a constant value you need to live, because without being aware, you're not able to identify areas of where you can make it better. You're also not aware of the strength in our diversity. I know Yvonne has done a lot of insights with us, but our diversity is not within our different talents and our different strengths. But also across cultures, across gender, across religion, because I cannot tell you how many times when we sit in the room and we just get different perspectives. If it was all the way that I wanted it to be, I know that we would be half the business that we are today. So I have a lifetime of examples. Maybe I didn't listen so well in the beginning because I thought my way was the only way. But with time, with time, I've been able to appreciate, understand, and onboard other people's opinions. And again, as I mentioned, this is not just about someone who is maybe numeric over creative or any variant of that in between, but sometimes one needs to look across culture, across religion, across gender to ensure that the decision is considerate of all of those when you're making them. So use it. This is not just kind of words on the board. It is super powerful. And actually, I reached out a couple of weeks back to a few of you just to ask for some examples. And considering I couldn't come up with one, I've got a few in front of me, which would be useful just in reading, just so you can understand what I mean in terms of the use of the values in one's life. And this is in no order of importance. And I know that I'm just, obviously respectful of the time. So I'm not able to list and, mention all the examples that I was sent, but these are just a few. So first of all, Tawanda, who's our group maintenance manager. He is a human being who is constantly diving into upskilling himself, improving his knowledge. Whenever I ask him, he's always got a full agenda and a full responsibility, but he always makes the time to keep learning. And the value which is applicable there is he's always looking to make himself better. And it's quite inspirational, because if I think of my own life, and every time I meet him, I always think I leave that conversation saying, I've got to do this. And then I get caught up in my own life and I don't do it. So I know it's not easy, but I've harped on it about it before, but learning, growing keeps you relevant, keeps you striving to develop and make it better. So Rwanda, shout out to you, like you're an insane human being when it comes to that. And just an underscore on that, I know the field guide team, and I know that a lot of you are doing this, and I won't be able to mention everyone, but the field guide teams are another example how they're constantly striving and working and delivering and getting the results to improve themselves. And the benefit of them improving themselves is that they improve the team, which improves the guest experience, which improves the company. I'm a strong believer in self. Everything must start with self. Some people think that's a selfish approach, but I simply believe that if you are better as a person, you can impact those around you in a more positive, beneficial way. So make yourself better, makes everyone else around you better, your kids, your partner, your home, your community, your colleagues. So again, T and the guiding team, you guys are epic at that. Another example of make it better, for Julian in the marketing department, which is, I'll touch on it a little bit later. It's a bit of a pressure cooker. It's a department where, to be honest, and probably Jules hates me for saying this because he's the one who's flying the flag and super committed to getting it right, but we're about a 4 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10, and we need to vastly improve with where we are. But Jules is even though he's kind of learning and in the trenches and doesn't really have a marketing mentor, he's constantly, every day, he's constantly wanting to make it better. And just so you guys know, I'm very involved in that department. So Jules and I have a very close relationship, which I know, like just my style is like, I get impatient. I like to get things done. So Jules has been he's been learning a lot, I would like to think, in that space. But Jules, a shout out to you for constantly making it better, getting up in the morning, getting in, just seeing an email going out now about the font. Those little things are so important to our business. They hold our brand sacred. They allow us to look uniform, professional, and at the moment you're a one-man team. So really, really great in the way you've handled yourself during this process. Another one I've got here, I'm going to read it. I recently overheard a conversation with Andile. He's in the concierge team, had with a colleague at a property where he illustrated a mindset of guest first in the planning of their experience with what was above and beyond the standard. And that's definitely the value of responding generously. So in a situation, again, just to elaborate on that, so the value of responding generously, you kind of think like, okay, there's a crisis, the guest was late, they arrived late, let's give them an extra bit of welcome on arrival because their flight was delayed or whatever reason. These happen continuously in our world. But if you don't just deliver, you deliver above and beyond. And that's the value of responding generously. And people are often surprised because it doesn't often happen out there. Service, yes, at our level of grading and guest experience, good service does happen, but exceptional service doesn't always happen. Exceptional service is where one goes above and beyond. And often, as we know, our lives are busy. We've got a lot on. There's always this happening and a distraction, and we've always got deadlines that we're working towards. So responding generously in that kind of world is for me even more inspiring, because it means that we're all busy, we're all hectic, but a person has taken the time to just think longer, deeper, further around the guest experience. So always inspiring and also contagious. The nice thing is when you see it and hear it, you kind of think, geez, man, like naturally we inherently people are competitive. And if I see Andile doing a great thing like that, then like, shit, I can't wait for the next opportunity where I can actually respond generously and do something. So it creates a really positive ecosystem. Got another one here. Nitesh in the finance team here in Joburg. I'm going to read this one. Nitesh is so incredibly aware of our environment, from washing dishes and cleaning dustbins when Albertina is away. Albertina is our office mom, basically, to helping put the generator, buying chocolates for girls on Valentine's Day. I hope he clears that with his wife at home. Nitesh, to following up on invoices and watching sales team credit cards while overseas. But the best example is when we had a huge storm and everyone's windscreens were covered in leaves. There was no way anyone could drive. Nitesh quietly went around cleaning each windscreen so that no one had to worry about when he left. He was not asked to, nor was he looking for praise. And I too see that in Nitesh. I see him often, he often comes in again. If Albertina's not here, the dustbins need to be cleared. Nitesh often just quietly comes in and gets it done. And just responding generously, being aware, and just getting it done, making it better. And it's like so amazing when you've got a person like that in your team. And again, as I say, it's contagious. You kind of see it and you think, geez, man, if he can do it, I can do it. So those are just some of the examples of people within the company that are living our values kind of above and beyond. But again, I always don't quite like harping on about one or two, because I know there are many. We would not have built the reputation that we have in the marketplace around the world if it were not for a collective effort in the space. But to all of you who do it, massively appreciative. And as I said, always inspiring for me to hear these stories. All right, so some big news. And just a bit of background on this. So my responsibility as the custodian and CEO of this company, is to always be looking forward, always be, I guess, building a strategy for growth. And I actually got asked this question the other day. They sort of defensively, in a way, they kind of said, Rob, geez, man, don't you have enough? Don't you, I mean, the ripe age of 50 years old, haven't you done enough, seen enough, got enough? And it was very easy for me to answer that. And I simply said to them that unless we are growing, we are unable to deliver on our purpose, which is to create opportunities and experiences for people to enrich their lives. The other way to say that is we are unable to retain talent. We are unable to nurture talent. We are unable to create opportunities for people anywhere in the business to grow, to step up, to improve, to have an impact. I always think back to when we crafted our purpose statement. Britt was still with us at the time, which was a real blessing. And I remember in one of the conversations, I thought about the opportunity I was given by inheriting the property where we started Lion Sands. And without that opportunity, I don't know whether we would be in the same position we are today. So I am like massively appreciative and respectful about a culture and a group of people who are striving to create opportunities for people to uplift themselves. And it is within this theme, or it is within that theme, that drives our growth. So if you can imagine a company which, I guess, stagnant is a bit harsh, but let's just say a company isn't growing, then I guess you could argue that it is stagnant. It's flatlined, it's going in one direction. Quite difficult to, you know, bring in young, enthusiastic, excited, talented people, and which challenge the structures and make us all kind of improve and uplift ourselves, unless we're growing. So I know growth comes with a concept called change, and I know change is not always easy, but change is often where we grow the most, and is often where we get given the opportunity to uplift ourselves in the best possible, most extraordinary way. So at the end of last year, it was sort of it's funny how sometimes, you know, years, I mean, I think looking back, having reflected on where we are today, looking back for the last 3 years, you know, we went through, hands down, the toughest 2 years that the hospitality industry has ever faced. And yeah, I mean, March last year, it's still hard to believe it, you know, it's 13 months ago, was when the final restrictions of the pandemic within South Africa were lifted, a little bit later in Zimbabwe. And then we had to pivot from sort of this mindset of conserve, protect, preserve, like just hold on and make sure we got to the end, into just an accelerated, complete 180 degree, where we had to deliver on a very strong order book. We had occupancies were starting to go through the roof, and we had to deliver to our guests. So it was quite, you know, it's been a complete roller coaster 3 years. And then at the end of last year, I started to reflect on, okay, so we've been through the pandemic, we've survived, and you guys will remember the narrative constantly about looking after each other, making sure we got through to the end, one small step at a time. We got through that, and then we had this insane year where we just went from 0 to 500. And at the end of last year, during the Christmas break, you know, in taking a bit of time off, I got to reflect on where the business is at. I had to, as I mentioned, my responsibility as your CEO is to look forward and anticipate opportunities. Again, as I mentioned, around building that growth so we can keep growing, keep creating the right opportunities for everyone within this business to step up, step forward and grow and deliver on their own individual purpose statements. And so I've restructured the leadership team of the Moore Family Collection, because, you know, the one thing, the strategy of growth, you know, it's fairly easy to kind of put down on a piece of paper. You can kind of say, we want another hotel and another lodge and maybe diversifying into a different kind of revenue stream. But unless you put the people behind it, it's going to remain inside my head. It's going to remain on a piece of paper, and it's never going to go forward. So it's very important that you know, to deliver on a strategy, a growth strategy, the first thing one needs to start with is one needs to create the framework of leadership and find the right people who are going to lead that growth strategy and deliver on that growth strategy. So now focusing on the image in front of you, I'll just go through it quite slowly. And again, if you guys have got any questions, please shoot them through to Brenda, post them in the chat box, and we'll deal with it in the Q&A. Finance manager, Sifiso, has done, continues to do, and will continue to do an incredible job on financial side of the business, H on the trade side. Again, leading her team, remarkable job in terms of what they gave us. You know, I mean, if you think back the last 13 months, we would, again, you know, just mind-blowing in terms of what they achieved for us as a business. The concierge, so our direct revenue strategy, for those of you who don't know, very sadly, Shah resigned a couple of weeks back. And, you know, that happens in life. I'm still kind of, yeah, I guess I'm still a bit in mourning around it. But we're just reflecting the team led by Ashley. I've had the privilege of getting to know them better because I'm sort of moonlighting in that space now and getting familiar with that business unit. They are a group of seriously strong, resilient, talented, committed individuals. And I'm so pleased to see that, you know, and I'm so pleased to be, I mean, the silver lining in Shah stepping out is that I've gotten to step in, and I'm super excited about, well, excited is not the right word. I'm inspired by their kind of mindset of, we've got this, even though we also mourn the loss of Shah as our kind of leader. We've got it, we're moving forward. And all I can say to all of them is that what you guys do and how you do it for the business is like superbly important. And I mean, and you probably know me by now, as when I get sometimes overexcited or excited about any kind of idea and place where there's an opportunity to make things better. And I'm pumped. I'm loving being in there. I think we're going to do some cool things into the future. At the moment, I just want to breathe. I'm still missing Shah terribly, but I know we'll eventually kind of get back on our feet. And I'm optimistic about where we're going to go as a team in that space. The marketing manager, so big decision this, you know, we've for 22 years, I think this is how old we are, 22 years, we could be turning 23 quite soon as a business when we first started Lion Sands. We've never had a marketing manager. It's always been kind of lumped within sales. It's always been a function, but it hasn't been a core pillar of the business. And we're probably 3-4 years behind, maybe 5, in terms of identifying the need for this. And what I mean by that is marketing is often construed as, oh, you guys just make things look nice and stationery and guest amenities and that kind of thing. Yes, that is part of the marketing function. But what I've learned and what I've seen and what I've identified is that we are a good few steps behind our competitors, and where we need to be as a business is on the digital marketing side. Now, we've got Francois Fourie, who's heading up our production content development and already having like super positive impact on where we are and those like really relevant channels. We've also got Andrew Carrington, who's like kind of from an analytical point of view, understanding tech, opening up new thought processes and opportunities, also in the space. But we need to do more. And I feel that it warrants a position in the leadership space. So this is going to be a brand new position. We are crafting the job description at the moment. I'm uncertain because we've never had a marketing manager. So in places where I've got a high level of comfort, it's really easy, can move forward with confidence. I'm like a bit hesitant around the space, but I do know that we need it, and I'm very excited about putting it in the marketplace. We're probably going to start advertising this position in the next 7 to 10 days. Warren, don't have a heart attack, because I know the job description is sitting with me, but we need it. And it's going to be a new, I think the benefit of this, once we get the right person in the place, is you guys will all feel it and see it, which is really exciting. The other two new big positions, and let me start kind of collectively talking around our operational leadership structure. So Andy, as you will all know, has been the group operations manager for the collection for as long as I can remember. And in our growth, which you guys know about, our growth meeting that I have with my leadership team, we just started kind of, asking the question, where would you like to be? What direction would you like to go in? What have you got more interest in doing than others? And sort of in that conversation, it was sort of October, November last year, Andy sort of planted the seed saying that, he felt that his responsibility and the capacity he had there was a problem. And what I mean by that is he just simply didn't have enough capacity to deliver on all the areas of responsibility that he had. So that was the seed that was planted. Plus, he's now got 3 children. As all you parents will know, that's an insane task in itself. But so that planted a seed in my head, and as I mentioned, I went on the kind of end of year break, and it gave me an opportunity to reflect and get out a piece of paper and start sketching different ideas down, and at the same time giving thought to the growth strategy of the business. And I do feel that we're at a size where we need to ensure that when we take our next step forward and we take on the next thing, okay, I'm not really going to say what that could, because we actually don't have anything in the pipeline right now. But when that event, when that thing starts happening and building momentum, unless we've created the people framework and the leadership structure with the right people in the right position to take on that new thing, I think we could be putting ourselves at risk. And what I mean by ourselves, we'll be putting our reputation, our brand, and therefore our business, and therefore our kind of workspace at risk. So in anticipation and in support of the growth strategy, I felt that we needed to create 2 new positions, 3, in fact. And we had to take Andy's role, which, as I mentioned, was completely out of capacity. Such an important function in terms of what we do, because it is the core of our business. And out of that, we created 3 positions. The first position is a operational position, the Lodge and Hotels Operations Manager. Now, this position is being brought in to focus, to look in on the business, to work hand in hand with the general managers, and to not only maintain the existing guest experience, but to obviously look to improve and simply make it better going forward. And Andy has done the best possible job that he could, and I think he's done an exceptional job to date. But I know that if we added 1, 2, 3 more properties, and I know that coming down the line are the concessions. If we land those and we haven't created more capacity in our leadership structure, I think cracks could start appearing. And as we all know, our brand and our reputation is only as good as our guest experience that we're delivering right today. People don't remember the scores and the history and all of that kind of stuff. They think about you today, great experience today, we love it, we're coming back, we'll sell you tomorrow. So this is a position which is going to be a proper investment into the core of the business. And what I mean by the core of the business, it is our existing guest experience. And I feel that, I do feel, although that we run a great guest experience, I think there are some pockets of excellence. And then I think there are some pockets of high kind of crisis areas which are held together by you guys that are down there. You'll know who I'm talking about in terms of we make a plan, we hustle, we hold it together, we deliver the experience. But sure, those are quite exhausting experiences to go through. And I think with certainly before we start scaling our business and growing, we need to start bringing in greater strength within our day-to-day operations. In terms of candidate who has put her hand up to fulfill that role is Yopi. I think she has not only really led a business through a very difficult time, as we've all been through, but she's taken that business from level 1 to level 10. And also she's a true example of making it better, constantly taking every opportunity given. And if I think back to when she first started with us at Narina and where she is today, and then this position that she's being offered, that's the kind of business that we are. That's the culture that we have, is that if you graft, if you constantly have that mindset of improving and upliftment and self-development, these kind of opportunities, I hope that we can always keep creating for the talent within this business. So super exciting that Yopi will be stepping into that role. Yes, she will be leaving a void at Lion Sand, Sabi Sand, but the nice thing is that she's not leaving the business. She's going to be sitting here in Joburg. So a huge change for her as well, and her and Mia. But something, as I've already mentioned, really important for us to kind of start building a very solid base within our properties, across all of our properties, with the general managers who are the leaders on the ground, to ensure that as we scale and as we bring on more properties into the future, we are very comfortable at doing that. We know exactly who does what. And then with each one of those new properties that come on board, we're able to extract the talent that has been with each of these properties and offer them the leadership positions, and so live our purpose. The other position is a slightly higher risk position. And just so you know, I've had this conversation with Alan, so the residence collection, we have it. It is operational, it's moving. It's kind of very much in its infancy in terms of where I would like to take it. It remains a very important part of our strategy in terms of diversification of product offerings. So we're going to have lodge and hotels, core business. And again, as I mentioned, my job is to spread our kind of sales offering because it diversifies our risk. It spreads our risk. So the residence is what I believe the market, not only just post-pandemic, but going forward, is a concept, is a product that I think we can really sell, and then we can be very proud about developing and expanding. But the key thing is we need someone in a leadership position to own it, to take it, and to shoot the lights out on it. And that's what Alan will be doing once he has very, from a high level of appreciation from my side, he's committed to delivering and opening the new Cape Cadogan, which will open on the 1st of June, all complete. And then I think he's going to sleep for a month before he takes on this new position. Because then I mean that he's had a complete reopening of a brand new hotel, a new restaurant, a residence that's coming at Cadogan. So he's had a lot on, but his focus has been very much around delivering that. So he leaves it in the best possible position before stepping into the leadership role around the residences. The other component to Alan's new position, I have touched on this before at maybe a very high level, is a wellness concept. So I think that, again, for the third time, fourth time maybe, my job is to reduce the risk that our company faces. And one of the ways of doing that is to look for a diversity of revenue streams. And I do think that with our culture and with our talent and ability around hospitality, if we can take that into a wellness product, I think we can do exceptionally well at it. And also the diversification is people who book leisure to go on holiday are different people who are booking a wellness experience. So that's your diversity. So, and I do think that the world that we live in, sadly, I think the world is us as the inhabitants, as a race on this planet, I don't think we're very well. I think we probably eat badly. We don't look after ourselves. The pandemic was very evident in exposing that to us. So I also think, this is something I'm actually very passionate about personally in terms of people's well-being. But I also think that, and obviously for me to be able to take a passion of mine and turn that into a commercial idea where we can receive people in a certain condition and impact their lives and make them better, be it a 5-day program, a 7-day program, a 2-week program, that's the concept. And that's what Alan and I will be building once he gets back once he's finished he's going to take a kind of a month sabbatical between handing over Cadogan and stepping into this new leadership role. So lots of exciting stuff happening in that space. And I just think Alan is, having known him for a number of years, I just think he's so well suited to this aspect of the business and this aspect of the guest experience. And I do believe it justifies a very different kind of function to the core business, which is the lodge and hotels, which UOP will be looking after. That leaves Andy. Andy's not leaving us. And Andy's not kind of, I don't know, he's not, anyway, he's still got a vitally important function. And let me put a number to that. So his new responsibility will be special projects. And special projects do not mean that it's all about kind of new stuff that is coming up. It's also to assist us in looking after projects which sort of have a project in a way has a beginning and an end. Unlike the lodge, which is a constant kind of mindset of making it better, improving, but it's infinite. So the projects, just as I said, I was going to indicate a number. So we as a group this year are planning to spend back into the business 120 million rand. Now, when I saw that number, and I still think we're a kind of small business and small community of people, it's quite a big grown-up number that for me. So, this kind of thought process around creating a position for Andy to be the gatekeeper, custodian, leadership person around those projects, I certainly sleep much better at night knowing that he's there. So that's just on what we're doing like now at our businesses. That's not bringing anything new on. The other thing that Andy will be involved in is he'll be working very closely with Alan Rose. So for example, when we've got our heads around this wellness product and we start going to look for the perfect location, and we need to do project managers, QS, architects, all those kind of things, finance, Andy will be very involved in that. So any new acquisitions, new properties, Andy will then be able to have all that skill, all that experience, both operational and on construction design. He'll be able to bring that in, or bring that to the table. The concessions, another classic example. So as you know, like super important to us and has a huge amount of our resource focused on it. Andy would be a key individual who's now going to be able to be freed up as he hands the day-to-day, very important responsibility of operating on guest experience over to UOP, all at the right time, at the right pace, and the team of general managers. He will then have the capacity to focus on these new concessions and be very involved in, once we get the opportunity confirmed, he'll be able to be there to focus on it, to deliver on it. And then once switches on, what happens then? The project then completes, the lodge opens, in comes UOP, identifies the right general manager, the right team, and then there we go, taking on a new property with a new brand and brings it into the collection. So that's the kind of workflow that's going to happen between those individuals. The other key person that Andy's going to be working with is Andre. So to remind all of you, the commercial manager is the title, in essence, means commerce, which means acquisition. It doesn't mean I'm saying that it means. It's the acquisition strategy of this business and therefore growth. I think I mentioned that 3 or 4 times. But remember, growth is all around creating opportunities for everyone. Andre has been the sole kind of jockey leader in this position, and Andy will now tuck in right next to him and assist in delivering on the growth strategy that we have. So, it's like a super exciting new role. Andy will be able to take all his learnings and experience from the last 10, 15 years, and he will then be able to sit alongside Andre doing the financial modeling, the kind of investments, the fundraising, all of that. And then he'll have a right-hand person to work with in terms of the actual product itself, bricks and mortar, building, architects, all that kind of stuff. So that's the new team. You know, I've given an indication on the timing. We've got a marketing manager, the operations manager, wellness and residence position, and he's also shift. The nice thing is that this is all under our control. So it will happen at the right time, at the right pace, when everyone is feeling ready for the shift to take place. So don't get all panicked and, oh, what's going to happen here? And I'm going to be, what about my role and all those kind of things? Relax. We've got this. It's in our control. We are holding all the cards, and we shall do this at the right time so that it works not only for everyone, but it works for the business, it works for the brand, it works for the opportunity, etc., etc. So super exciting. I will put out a notice. I'll post it on the groups with this and a little bit of wording around it, just so that, you know, if some of your colleagues were unable to attend this meeting, they'll have that to read. And then also just to try and make sure that that there's no misunderstanding of why we're doing this, how we're doing this. And the bottom line around this restructuring is to position ourselves in the best possible way to keep growing, keep living our purpose, keep creating opportunities and enriching experiences for you guys. Cool. That was a lot. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. How's that time? 15 minutes. Okay. I focused on the most important part. So please bear with me. I'm going to start moving through these quite quickly. Training. I've already harped on about that, so I'm not going to dwell on it. Try it. I am not doing it, so I'm not a great example. Tawanda and the field guides, and I'm sure others are much better examples of it. But yeah, I'm actually not going to openly promise that I'm going to do something, but maybe once I've done a course, I'll let you guys know. Technology and systems. So tech and systems are, I must admit, it's not my happy place. Like and just by way of example, I'm not on social media, which I know is probably appalling. And Andrew and Francois must think I'm just like, I don't know what. But anyway, but it is the nervous system of our business. It connects the dots. It makes us more efficient. And I mean, social media is only one component of it, so I don't feel too bad. But this is a very, very important part of our business that we need to keep investing in. So some cool news, finally, after lots of work, and Andre and Taryn and everyone being involved in this, Lee as well. Lee Atkinson was a key project manager in helping us select and land and get into play. Opera Cloud is happening. We finally signed the agreement. We are testing Cape Town, both Cadogan and Quarters. We are building the system at the moment. Candice and Taryn are very involved in that, and we will go live on the 1st of June. And the others, so everyone who's not in Cape Town, we will be building all the other systems June and July, with everybody going live on the 1st of August. So yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. Those of you who are close to it will know it. I'm sure, like every system, let's manage our expectations. It will have issues, as every system does, but I feel that this is going to be light years ahead of where we're at. And I'm very excited around the tech development that's taking place in the software. And it will seriously improve us as a business, and connect all components of the business. The concierge team, our direct team, they have also, so they operate off their own customized self-built software. They call it a console. Console, I don't know, it's never quite stuck to me, but it's like a booking engine, booking software program that they've built themselves, and they got an update in April. So a few teething issues, which is quite normal. We're in April. It actually went live on Monday last week, yeah. No, Monday this week. So yeah, just again, an investment. It's improving. And then Jules and I in the marketing department are also going to look at all of their stationery, going to look at giving it a refresh and a kind of redesign, which will be nice for them. Website. Yeah, it's look, we had, you know, I sometimes beat myself up about things that I feel like, geez, man, I should have seen this a while back, should have been improving it a while back, but we did have the pandemic. We did then have an insanely busy year, and we focused on the right thing, which was to build our revenue, which allowed us to rebuild our payrolls, etc. But our website's not where it needs to be. So I'm working very closely with Andrew and the Lucky Beard guys, who are our website guys. And for the first time, we're actually using data and analysis and analytics from the website. And we are about a third of the way through a big redesign that's going to take place, and which will hopefully start filtering through in terms of the changes on the website in the next 2 to 3 months time. And it'll be, the fundamental change will be simplification, much easier call to action in terms of encouraging people to book, and it'll just be far more modernized, and then a whole component around being mobile friendly. I think it's as high as about, quite extraordinary, and I'm probably understating the number, but about 70% of the people who come onto our website are on their mobile. So, and that's either an iPad or a mobile phone. So it's an extraordinarily high number of people that are using the mobile device to access our website, but yet our website is not designed specifically for that. So lots of improvement that's going to happen there. And again, as you guys always know, everything we do in this part of the business is all around revenue. So this will hopefully assist, grow, reposition, strengthen our brand, and build our revenue, which puts more fuel in our tank. SEO as well, another space that I've been getting involved in, and that's search engine optimization. So with our partners in I'm having a blank, it'll come to me now. Search Kings, they are, I'm now meeting with them every 2 weeks with Andrew, and we have brought everybody together. My fault in operating in focusing just on in a silo in terms of the More Family Collection, but we've now got the Field Guide College in. Candice is going to be joining in those meetings. Nakavanga as well, Stan. We're going to get that website involved and in process with search engines, so we just get better online in this digital space. Databases. You would think we should have them. You would think that we have a system that manages them correctly. We are terrible in this space. So Andrew's done a deep dive and a due diligence into all of the different databases, both guest, sales, foundation, everywhere. And this is something we need to solve. I told my board the other day that at the moment, this is like a 2 out of 10. And I said, by the end of the year, we're going to be a 10 out of 10, or 8 out of 10, actually. I didn't say 10 out of 10. But also a key focus of ours to understand our databases, make sure that they're clean and proper, and make sure that it's basically gold that we're not using. So that's an important part of our strategy for this year. We have 8 minutes. Sustainability, quite a big change there. So just from the 1st of March, for those of you, I know that the sustainability champions have done an insane job in educating us, getting us to learn the language of sustainability. But the cool news is that we've actually, the foundation is going to take a leadership role on this. So Michelle has been through a very rigorous interview process over the last couple of weeks. I know she has the candidate. I know she didn't want me to mention it today, but very, very soon you will hear about who will be the new sustainability manager, who will help take this very important part of our business and again, build it, improve it, make it better. The nice thing as well is the sustainability manager is someone who we've known and we've worked with before. So always nice when a family member comes back to us and is able to take on a new leadership role. So that's something that's going to be super cool. The lodges upgrades, there's a lot, guys. Last time we sat, I remember I said I can't mention anything until the budgets are approved. So we're going to, Brenda, if you can just keep firing, and I'm going to go through these quite quickly. So Cape Cadogan, complete renovation 14th. The residence opens on the 1st of June. And yeah, I mean, so far the feedback has been insane. The nice thing is the Cape Grace is closed for a refurb, so it couldn't have been better timing for us in terms of hopefully picking up some business. I think they open up again in November. So the timing is perfect, super incredible product, very different guest experience. So nice to have her finished, and I'm sure the team down there are exhausted about having building and hammers going and contractors on site and all those kind of things. More quarters, reality of our country at the moment is everybody needs backup power. So all the apartments, you know, it's quite difficult. Where at a lodge, you can have one generator running all the units. More quarters, as you know, in a unique design, individual apartments need individual power supply backups. So we deep in that process of already having every apartment with a backup power supply. Daniel Livingston, I was actually up there on Monday. Just like you guys, I told them I managed to spend 30 minutes with the leadership team there. They are just so cool, you know, so committed, so proud, so kind of in their guest experience. The gardens are just extraordinary. The food was amazing, prepared by Jabu. So just the focus there is we need to get our revenues right. You know, she had a very difficult reopening because the Dear Zim government, I know I shouldn't say this, didn't make it clear. I mean, still to this day, I had to phone Anya from the airport and say I need my COVID vaccine, so certificates. So you know, they still, I mean, there are very few places in the world that are even asking for that. So it just makes it harder to sell. So the sole focus around SNL, beautiful property, the team are there, is stoic in their leadership style, and we just need to get their revenues right, which I'm pleased to see is starting to improve, but we're not going to take you know, our foot off any kind of strategy around getting it better and better. Sabi Sand, bucket loads of investments happening in the staff accommodation areas. As you know, guys, this has been a theme of mine, and we need to get back onto it following the pandemic. And as the revenues improve, we're going to be putting in a brand new gym at Ivory Lodge. Ivory's benefited. Funny enough, Maratava and Ivory have been the two properties that have benefited most from the pandemic, which is really amazing. So we want to keep investing in that Ivory experience. So we're going to be putting in a new gym. The Fish Eagle residence also getting some upgrades. There's a new entrance going to be taking place. Nothing dramatic, so relaxed line sands, just more aesthetically pleasing. That won't go past that back of house area where you can see the white bus, etc., etc. And they're getting a truck. So the UP has been trialing a truck between the lodge and Joburg, so that we're not paying 150 Rand an hour, we're paying 30 Rand an hour and better quality, and she's delivered on that. And we're going to be making an investment in a permanent truck that's linking the Joburg office to the lodge, which is both feeding the Kruger side as well as the Sabi Sand side. Kruger, we've further investments happening in the staff accommodation. We have broken ground with the new spa at Narina. We broke ground this week, and which will be really nice to add that. So it'll be, instead of a sala, it'll be a destination spa, and then we'll convert the sala into a gym. We're going to be rolling that into Tinga. We've also identified a beautiful place on the Sabi River on the eastern side of the concession where we're going to do a breakfast brunch venue for similar to Nkwazi Hyde that we have at Sabi Sand. And then starting in the latter part of the year, probably as late as kind of Feb, March in the new calendar year, we'll be starting that building of the 3-bedroom residence at suite number 1. Marataba, backup power for staff accommodation. Again, we got so busy, caught up in building the business and survival. We need a backup power solution, because at the moment when there's no power, there's no water, there's no lights, and that's just unacceptable. So we need to get that, and we're busy putting those components in place. General guest upgrades as well, and we're getting it's not a new boat, but we're getting new engines on the boats. So, as you know, the Miss Mara boats experience at Marataba is like an iconic part of their brand positioning, and we need to make sure they don't break down, especially now that I think there are crocodiles in the river, which anyone, the guiding group, I think it was posted a couple of weeks back. But bottom line is we can't have boats breaking down. Concessionary tendering, BDO is a consulting business. They've been appointed as the company to manage the concessionary tendering process for SANParks, which is great. They're a professional, reliable, trustworthy, independent organization. And Andre and I have already been in touch with them. We'll be meeting them over the next couple of weeks. And as I've said countless times before, this is a key focus of ours. New Lodge and Hotel. Still looking. I'll let you guys know if I find residents. There are 1 or 2 that I'm kind of looking at, but nothing far enough down the line for me to mention to you. But I'm super excited, because when Alan's in that position, then I'm going to put all that responsibility on him. But very important part of the business. We got the Cadogan residence opening up on the 1st of June. But and I think we need to have more of them to have an impact for the market to understand it. So, but that's, as I've explained with the leadership restructure, that's going to be Alan's new baby. Wellness in dream state. So it's still very much still in my head. I am passionate about it. I think it can not only be a great business, but I think it can really impact people in a super positive way. And I want to do that. So again, when Alan gets into that seat, it'll be at his door. Sales, trade shows, April, May. Lots going on. The sales guys have actually been in Europe, in the States, in Canada, in Mexico, and they are back, and they're alive, and the market is buoyant. They said the trips are really good. I've got my first trade shows coming up, which I'm quite nervous about, because it's been like 3 years since I've done one. So we've got Indaba coming up in the first week of May, and then straight thereafter, the week after that is the We Are Africa show in Cape Town. Very cool that Cadogan is actually one of the host hotels at We Are Africa. So, and what I mean by that is normally it's all the big boys, Taj, One and Only, Table Bay, Cape Grace. So HE was able to secure the Cadogan being one of the first time they've used a boutique hotel. Going to be incredible exposure, especially coming out of the renovation. So that's why Andy can't be late on it. But also exposure for Upper Union Restaurant. So very positive fact that we're able to host the We Are Africa show. Other thing that's happening, Jules and I, that's the marketing team with Marie-Louise and HE kind of looking over our shoulder, corporate identity. So we need to get our brand back in shape. Kind of they're a bit of a smorgasbord all over the place. It's 12:01, so please bear with me. I'll wrap it up quite quickly. But CIs, so we need to professionalize how our brand is presented. I'm also working with the operational guys to get their input on certain stationery. We're close, we're not there yet, but we're going to hopefully see a brand new and very cool look and feel coming through over the next couple of weeks. The foundation, Michelle, I had the privilege of going to the Kruger campus a couple of weeks back. Candace took me around. I went on an assessment drive, and I just like properly moving, it just, and I hope all of you guys, I know not all of you can get there, but just know that this part of our responsibility and our sister kind of organization in the foundation is having a real impact in people's lives, and meeting some of these students, just body language open, so appreciative, and you can understand like they've come from a hard place, and to to give them this opportunity of upskilling. They'll be moving into practical components, come the middle of the year, and hopefully, from that take up a position of employment, and from that completely change their trajectory in terms of, income, breaking that cycle of poverty, changing, how they perceived by their family, their community. It's just quite incredible, and also a shout out to Mr. Krobler, who's made the worst decision he could ever make by leaving us. I'm only kidding, Javi, if you are online. He's also sadly going to be leaving us. But he was very involved in setting this up, and such an incredible legacy to be leaving behind. So it's a freaking amazing space that. So very, very proud of it. Sanitate Masui Primary School. You have no idea how poor it was when we went there 3-4 years ago. It's like leaps and bounds in terms of sanitation, safety, security, living standards improvements, and it would never have happened without the foundation getting involved. So just like, again, real impact in a community that would have remained forgotten, remained in hardship, really looking to shift and improve and enrich their lives. The conservation, another cool, amazing story up from Victoria Falls. Michelle was through a guest, Robert Beck, who stayed with us at LS, and I think it was Norman who struck up the conversation, managed to raise $20,000 donation from him. We've raised another 30,000 coming in from a group that's based in the States, and we are now able to relocate 2 young male rhino to another reserve in Zim, bring in a more adult male with a different DNA, so you don't have interbreeding taking place. But such a cool story, and as we know, a very difficult kind of economy of Zimbabwe. But we owned it. The foundation went out there and raised $50,000 and got it done. And this event will be taking place, not only the movement of the rhino to improve the DNA, but also dehorning exercise to ensure that the 11 black rhino that we have are protected and hopefully start breeding in the months and years ahead. It is 12:05. I hate being late, but that's my update with all of you guys. I did send out a note for questions, and I was very disappointed to hear that Brenda said there were no questions that came in. Well, there was maybe 1 or 2, I don't know. But anyway, regardless, guys, been a busy time. I'm super excited around the changes. I hope you found the presentation of interest. If you got any questions, post them now in the chat box. But otherwise, I'm going to hand back to Brenda to kind of close out.
Yeah, I haven't had any questions coming through other than a very beautiful compliment, which is from an anonymous source known as Mr. GR84 for grateful. And it reads as follows. Hello, Rob. This is not a question, but more an acknowledgement from us as employees. Thank you to you and the management for recognition of the past 3 years by awarding a significant increase in March and the commitment to pay 2 more discretionary recovery amounts later in the year. These are appreciated more than we can really explain and illustrates integrity and a commitment to the well-being of the employees. So that made me a little bit teary-eyed. So yeah, I think well done.
No, well done, eh? And I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, I always, yeah, look, it's a collective effort, we couldn't do it if we hadn't done what we've done. So you kind of, yeah, you create the own situation. Everyone combined here makes that happen. And but those words are appreciated. I know the management who are involved in that thought process and planning, I know they'll be also super appreciative in hearing that. And onwards, upwards together. I mean, it's just keep building, keep growing, keep creating opportunities, keep making it better, be aware of each other. I know it's not easy. I know like there's a lot in front of us, but yeah, let's have fun and let's keep doing what we're doing. I freaking love it. I feel I'm the luckiest person on this planet to be in the position I'm in. So it's a privilege to work with all of you.
Okay,
Cool.
so I think that's it. No questions. Thank you, everybody. And until June.
Yeah, so I'll do a
Mhm.
PDF update in May, and then we'll do another virtual family in June. Yeah. Cool.
Perfect.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.